breaking news now. We're going to find out the latest unemployment figures, which are about to be released. We're joined live by Ryan Felsman from CommSec. Ryan, what are we expecting this morning?
We're expecting to see around 20,000 jobs created, with the unemployment rates remaining steady at 5.2% for a fifth consecutive month. That said, there's some downside risks to this view. Of course, we've seen the ANZ job ads index down by 2.8% in August, and the SEEK index is down by 8.6% over the last 12 months. We're seeing particular weakness in Sydney and Melbourne as far as job ads are concerned, down by 17 and 12% respectively. So we are seeing a weakening as far as jobs growth is concerned, and we'll be interested to see what happens in a minute.
There are concerns growing that the government's tax cuts haven't done enough to bolster the economy. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, certainly the numbers have just dropped, Annalise, and we've seen the unemployment rate actually tick up to 5.3%. And in terms of the employment change, it was a positive number of 35,000 jobs, but certainly we saw full-time jobs down by about 16,000. So a bit of a mixed bag there, Annalise. But the unemployment rate is up slightly to 5.3%. And what that means, of course, is that the Reserve Bank's meeting at the beginning of October will probably be a live meeting. They have been talking about in their minutes about the fact that jobs growth momentum has been easing, and certainly wages growth has stalled. So there's spare capacity in the labour market at the moment, and perhaps they may want to get in the front foot again and cut rates.
Wow, very interesting figures there. Do you think that that's an indicator that perhaps there is that shift from people not working part-time to perhaps going full-time, or the other way around?
Well, it's an interesting conversation because we saw the part-time number of jobs lift by 50,000 during the month, and full-time jobs down by 15,000. That said, though, full-time job creation has been pretty strong over the last 12 months. In fact, about 80% of the jobs created, 332,000 thereabouts over the last 12 months, have been full-time jobs. So a little bit of a give back there. Certainly we had strong numbers in the previous month in July, so perhaps we did see a bit of a reversal of that.
And when you mentioned the Reserve Bank potentially considering another rate cut to stimulate the economy, do you think that's also going to be bolstered by the Federal Reserve cutting rates overnight?
Well, certainly there's a move around the world to ease interest rates at the moment. In particular, currencies looking to be reduced or depreciated on the back of that. Of course, if you depreciate your currency, you generally make your exports more competitive globally, and certainly at the same time, it is a stimulant to the economy. It acts as a shock absorber to the Australian economy, particularly for our commodity exports.
Do you think there's any potential that we could actually go into negative rate territory at any point?
That's not our base case scenario at the moment, Annalise, but of course the Reserve Bank and policymakers have really been modelling this and focusing on that potential going forward, particularly if we see a deterioration in the global economy. The global economy is slowing, but it's still expected to grow at around 3.2% this year, according to IMF forecasts. And if that was to eventuate, that would be the weakest growth since 2009, but still that's reasonably solid, and the US is growing at 2% still. So while we are seeing the weakest growth in China at 27-year lows of around 6.2%, it's still positive at the moment. So we'd only really see that situation occur if the Australian economy and more broadly the global economy went into recession, mainly on the back of an escalation in the trade war between China and the United States.